dust is something that we can take it easy, but dust is the part of soil. And when we read our Bible, it says that a human being was created from dust. When God created man, he took the dust and he made a man. So this man, after being created, he was an immovable thing, lifeless thing, non-human being, non-living thing, until God breathed into it in order to give it life. That's when a human became a living thing. So God created us in his example. It doesn't mean this humanly body we have are the examples of God. The thing that is example of God is the soul that lives inside of you, is the spirit that lives inside of you. That's why at the end of the day, when you die, your spirit is going to go away and your body will remain here, because the body is not what is an example of God. What is an example of God is your spirit. So when I was learning today about the soil a little bit, I like learning about stuffs. If you don't know, I learn about different stuff. If something catches my attention, I will start exploring at it and starting referring it to the Bible and spiritual things and everything that possible. So when I was reading about the soil, there is a lot of factors that I saw into soil, and they are also into human being. And I asked myself why, and I came to realize it is because we were created from dust, which dust is a part of soil. What does it mean then? If you are created from something, it means you contain some characteristics of that thing. You are related to that thing. So the way you behave, the way you are affected, the way you go with our daily lives, you are related to that thing, characteristics. So if there is something that we are related to, and this thing, it is eternal, why can't we see, why can't we learn some stuffs about ourselves? It means, can we get a little of behaviors of soil that are somehow related to us? Yes, we can learn. But before learning that, do we believe that we were created from dust? Whether you want to believe it or you don't want to believe it, you were created from dust, because the Bible is the book of life, and this book of life, it is telling us our creation. And we are going to read this in a book of Genesis. Genesis 2 verse 7. It says, "And the Lord God formed man of dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living thing, a living being." It means the man was not a living being until God breathed a breath of life into a man. That's when it became a living thing. Before, it was just a dust made in this shape. But after a breath, that's when we got life. So what makes you alive, it is a spirit that is within you, which God breathed it into you, which that means the part of God, it is what inside you, which is the spirit. And again, it comes and says this again, because God said it twice, said about our nature twice. It says in Genesis 3 verse 19, "In the sweat of your face you shall eat bread till you return to the ground, for out of it you were taken, for dust you are, and to dust you shall return." God said this after when the humans sinned in the Garden of Eden, and then after giving the punishment to the snake, to the woman, and to man, this was the last sentence. He said, "You are dust, and to dust you shall return." What do I want us to learn out of this letting alone the story of the punishment and anything. When we look at the soil, it have a lot of characteristics, and it have a lot of difference according to location, according to the area it is, according to the environment, according to the climate. The soil, it is different, but it doesn't change the fact that it is a soil. Whether it is in the desert, it is still a soil. Whether it is in the jungle, it is still a soil. Whether it is in the river, it is still a soil. What does this mean? A human being is a human being, regardless where you are. Whether you don't have legs, you're a human being. Whether you're rich, you're still a human being. Whether you're poor, you're still a human being. Whether you don't have a good look that you're looking for, you are still a human being. Which means the external environment cannot affect the soil. The external environment cannot affect a human being because you're part of soil, and soil is not bothered about those stuff. But what matters the most about the soil is not what it is seen outside. What matters the most about the soil is what it contains and what it protects. The soil, it is like an #1 makeup of the earth. Without a soil, we can't imagine how could the earth be, because without all this vegetation we see, we don't know where would the animals stay, we don't know where would we stay. It means the soil itself, it is a very big part of earth. But beside that, it protects the very valuable stuffs. That's why the soil is unbothered of the location. The soil is unbothered of where it is. The soil, it is not bothered about the out condition, because what matters the most to the soil is what is deep under it. Because it can be into a desert, but if you dig deep, you're going to get oil. It can be somewhere where you cannot plant anything, where the soil cannot born anything, but if you dig deep under the soil, you are going to get the gems like diamond and platinums and everything. It can be somewhere where when you dig deep, you are going to get water. It can be somewhere where when you dig deep, you are going to get salt. And it can be somewhere where even by seeing, you see that if I'm going to plant something here, I'm going to get a lot of harvest. So the same goes to a human. You are not supposed to be bothered by your outside look, by the situation you are going through, by the place you are right now. But you have to concentrate on what is deep within you, because that is what is going to define your value. What defines the value of a soil is what it is protected. What are you going to get to the certain location deep down under that soil? What am I going to get deep inside you? The second thing you can say, the deeper you dig under the soil, the valuable stuffs you're going to find. So, even to you, human being, the deeper you dig within yourself, the more valuable stuffs you're going to find. But most of us, we are so caged up with the vegetation, forgetting to look deep down ourselves. The second characteristic of a soil, it is like a mother nature. And a soil does not choose what to born. The soil, it does a job of burning a stuff, but the growth of this thing, it is not under control of it. If you take something lifeless and you give it to the soil is not going to give you anything back. But if you take something alive and you plant it into the soil is going to give you 100 more times of what you planted. If you take a thorn and you plant it, a soil is going to give you a thorn. It is not a responsibility of soil to control what to burn and what not to burn. Everything that is planted into a soil, it is going to grow. So if you planted fruitless tree, it will grow and it will be fruitless. It means a soil reflects what you feed it. The same goes to a human. A human, because you are a dust, a part of soil, it means you do the same. You reflect what you are being fed. If you and the main part, the main center that uses to feed a human, it is your ear, like your sense of your 5 senses, your ears, your eyes, your mouth. The thing that you hear, you are going to burn it. You can't control not to burn it. The thing that you say, you're going to burn it. And the thing that you see, you're going to burn it. That's why most of people, they can be affected by the environment they grow at, by the family they are born at, by the culture that raised them. Because you are burning what you are being fed. But we become catched by these things that we burn, forgetting to dig deeper within our soul and find the true potential that is within us. Because even if you go somewhere which is unfertile and you fertilize it and you put a seed will grow. But you don't know what's deep down within that soil, the same soil that you planted. So the same goes to a human being. The environment you are growing up, if you are not carefully, you are going to burn something similar like that environment. And the only person who can control that is God. So that's why we really need God in our life, because God is the only person who can give you the access to your soul. But if you don't have God, you can be caught up to this world to the point that you'll be catched up to see the vegetation, forgetting that there is something valuable into your soil more than the vegetation you're seeing. Your job is to burn. Your job is not to control what's going to happen to what you have born. So if what was planted in you, it was a wild flower, it means the wild flower is going to be born out of you. If what was planted in you was a fruitious tree, it means you are going to burn the tree which will give fruits at the end of the day. And if it was a fruitless, it means you're going to burn a fruitless tree. How can you control this? You cannot control this. You only need a divine power to control this. And which divine power comes from God? God will give you eyes to access within your soul and know that where I am, it is not where I'm supposed to be. I know I am a special created being. I know I have a special potential within me. I know deep down this body there is something in my soul that is supposed to come out, not what you're seeing right now. But if you don't have God, you can burn one tree of mangoes and you will be very excited with that tree of mangoes. Oh, I am a very fertile land. I produced a tree of mango. But forgetting that if you could have gone deep down, you have diamond within that. And God have an enemy, and this enemy, his job is to upset God. So if you burn a wild plant and you don't have God to take it out of it, this enemy of God is going to take care of that plant and it will grow and it will give fruits. That's why we have bad guys, we have good guys, and we have neutral guys. Because of environment, we have fertile land, we have unfertile land, we have neutral land. And another thing, it is the soil, it have tendency of giving back to wherever you are giving it. So if you want a soil to give you something good, you have to plant something good. You can't expect a soil to give you a maize while you planted a thorn. You can't expect a soil to give you a tree while you planted a flower. It means you have to give first. After giving, you are going to receive. And a thing you give, it have to be a live thing, not a dead thing. If you give a live thing, the soil will produce to you. The same goes to a human being. If you want to get something from a human being, you have to give first. And you have to give something which is valuable, not just a thing. If you give something which is valuable, a human being is going to reflect to what you gave, and it will give back to you more than what you gave. Mean people are the most the most lacking people in the world, because they don't plant, and you cannot expect to harvest to a point where you never planted a thing. So in a life, if you want anything, just remember that a human being is a part of soil. Just look at the characteristics of soil, study the soil, understand the soil, and see, if I want something from the soil, what am I supposed to do? Okay, I'm supposed to plant it. Okay, I'm supposed to take care of the soil. Okay, I'm supposed to protect the soil. And at the end of the day, it will give me 100 times of what I planted. The same goes to a human being. I'm supposed to plant love. I'm supposed to plant care. I'm supposed to plant hope. I'm supposed to plant emotional support. At the end of the day, all this will come back to me. But if you don't give any of this to a human being, you are not going to get back, because we were made in like our nature is reciprocation. If you don't give, you don't receive. Don't expect to receive. And the last thing I want us to learn about the soil is we say the deeper you dig, the gems you're going to get. But if this digging would be done in a systematic way, it is going to cause disasters. And bad thing about the disasters, most of time the person or the person who is digging is the person who is going to get the result, whether it is positive or it is negative. It is going to come to you. So if you go to a gold mine, for example, we are going to use the examples which are very well known to all of us. If you go to a gold mine, you want to dig maybe a diamond, and you start digging anyhow because your goal is to get a diamond. This soil is going to fall, and that is going to be the downfall of you and the soil itself, because you destroyed the soil, you didn't respect it, you didn't do it systematic, you didn't do it in a human way. So the end result would be death of the digger and death of the mine. Even to a human being, most of us, we have potentials, but we don't use those potentials. But the fact that I'm not using my potential doesn't mean that other people doesn't see. People sees your potential. Everybody sees the potential you have, especially if they need that potential, they are going to see it. So if they see that you are not using your potential, they will come to you to get that potential. What they need is not you. They need what is inside you. But if they don't do it systematically, it is going to hurt them and it is going to hurt you. And human beings, we mostly forget to see that who is affected most. Who is affected most is the digger than the soil, because the soil will still be there. What you did is like you made it upside down and you caused a big hole which it can't be able to fill it. But a human who was digging is going to lose life. So the same goes to us. When a person comes to manipulate you, they are going to cause damage to you. And this damage may cause the end of them. And also it will affect the gold mine. You are going to be affected, whether you were sleeping home and somebody came with their intentions trying to use your potential or tries to take your potential, but they didn't follow the specific system. The effect is going to be both-sided. So you are not in a safe side, and the digger also is not in the safe side. So you can see what we need here is to be civilized. Be civilized enough not to manipulate a person when you see his potential within them. Just be a human enough to awaken the person. Because awakening the person is like planting a seed, and this seed is going to feed you at the end of the day because you are the person who planted it. Awaken the person and do it systematically in order to make a world a very safe place for both of us to live. If we can approach a soil in a civilized manner, in whatever thing you want to do, in anything you want from a soil, if you respect a soil and you approach it in a civilized manner, it is going to produce for you 100 and 1,000 times. But if you want to approach it in anyhow, it is going to treat you anyhow. The same goes to the human, which is from the soil. If you approach a human because they have some potential and you are approaching them anyhow because there is something you want to get from them, you are going to get anyhow result, and at the end of the day it is not going to be safe for both of you because you will not access what you're looking for. Even if you will access it with consequences. There is a lot of references that we can use from a soil which we are related in behaviors. So Next time, if you have something that's bothering you, try to look at your nature, which was soil, and see how does soil react during a rain when a rain is too much. How does a soil react during a storm? How does a soil react during a too much sun? How does the soil react when there is no fertile in this land? And you can see that all a human have to do is to produce. All a human has to do is to look access to the soul. All a human has to do is to discover, to do self-discovery, discover what's deep within me, what potential do I have, because everything that is created in the earth, if you take out living things, all creation of human being, they came deep down from people's spirit. People were big enough to try and dig deep within them and concentrate and see what potential do they have deep inside. And after accessing their potentials, they were brave enough to implement it, and at the end of the day, it produced 1,000 times